Good morning. This is Rebecca.
Connor, and Kira, 1/3 of the EdTech family.
And we are the EdTech family. And we have a couple of things that we're going to go over, talk about today. We have one big idea, but since we missed our June recording, we'd like to start with our highlights from June, the things that kept us kind of busy. And Kira, you'd like to start.
Okay, my three things. Okay, so June is my birth month, and obviously I love to celebrate my birthday. And here are three things I liked about June. I liked that we got to go to Capitola and take surfing lessons. I rode about 5 or 6 waves, which that was really fun. And I also liked going to a baseball game with my mom, because I've never been to a baseball game just with her. And
what baseball game was it?
It was a Giants game. It was Giants versus...
I don't remember who they played. I went to 3 games in like 10 days.
No, not the Rockies.
The Brewers?
I think it was the Brewers. Yeah, the Brewers. And that was fun. And then my third thing is we got to go to Eureka, and we got to go on a nice hike and got to go to the beach, but not like go into the water.
Yeah, not that. It wasn't that kind of beach.
Yeah, we just went to the beach to have a little picnic and stuff, and then when we went on a hike, it was like the redwood. It was a redwood hike. It was like really fun because we got to see like the biggest redwood they had.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that trip included driving through a drive-through tree too.
Yeah, when we were going back.
Yeah.
And I bought some Bigfoot hair at the drive-through tree to give to Shannon.
She's your cousin. She's my cousin, so she's your cousin.
To give to our cousin.
Okay. And Connor, you had a pretty big, exciting June as well. What were your highlights?
My first highlight is meeting Will Clark. We went to a Giants game and went to the Cloud Club, and Will Clark was there, and he sent me something, and that was really cool. My second is going crabbing at Giants Stadium with DJ and
he's our
my
friend.
cousin Ronnie. Mm-hmm. And we caught 4 crabs, and it was just really fun. And my third thing is, even though it's my third thing, I had a lot of fun. But surfing, it was really fun. I caught some waves. There was one wave where I was trying to get turned around and go and ride it into shore, but as I was turning around, I was not in line with the beach to go straight towards the beach. I was to the side, and the wave hit me, and I fell off my board. But it was really fun.
Yeah, and I have some overlap with both of the kids on my top 3. My highlights from June include surfing in Capitola. It was really cool to do surfing lessons as a family.
We all ended up getting knocked down.
We did, and I got pummeled.
Yeah, and a wave went over me while I was under the water, which was very scary for me, even though I was still connected to my board.
So I'm very thankful that we're tethered to our boards. That's for sure, because that I think is what really helped me find my way back up, because I rolled off my board, and as I came back to the surface, a wave kind of smacked me down again, and then the next time a third wave smacked me back down. And it's real easy to see how you can get disoriented and not know which way is up. But being tethered to the board really, really helps. And when I came back up for good finally and got my hand on my board, my instructor was right there with a big grin on his face and got me right back out. But it took me a little bit to catch my breath.
Wait, did you wash up on shore?
No.
Oh.
Did I wash up on shore? No. My second thing was our Redwoods trip, and that was as much to do with family as anything else. But this was your first trip for the two of you to see the Redwoods. Yeah. We do a lot with national parks, and we hadn't done Redwoods yet, so it was really nice to do something new and different.
Is that like the actual redwood forest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were right at the Redwoods National Park.
Yeah, the original Redwoods.
How come there's like the Redwood Island?
And remember, we want to go back with your passports and actually stamp your passport, your national park passport.
Yeah, it's not on our actual passport because it's not out of California.
So one of the things that the kids got on our big Tennessee adventure earlier this year was their national parks passports. Mm-hmm. And we'll need to go back and revisit a few to get the stamps in there, but they've got a good start. And I think that's any parents who take their kids to the national parks, even if it's your first trip to a park, I strongly encourage you to get that passport, because it's a great little tool for keeping track, and it's something they can keep.
You get to stamp, and you can like maybe write things down.
Mm-hmm. Stamp, write things down, glue in pictures, and it can be an ongoing souvenir for that they can have forever.
Mm-hmm. And you can also store like a map, like the national park map in it, because with ours there's this little pocket, and we can store a map in there, and we'll show sometimes we'll show where the national parks are. Because they have like a national park map.
And I'd like to make a comment. Not only did on our Tennessee trip did we get to go to Tennessee, we also went to Kentucky and Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we went to the Tri-State Peak.
Yeah.
Right? And we had actually been... So, once we turned on a hill, we had actually been in Virginia, like, made a turn. We had been in Virginia for a long time, and we hadn't even realized that until we were starting to reach the Tri-State Peak. And I was in Kentucky, my mom was in Tennessee, and my brother was in Virginia.
All at the same time. So I'm going to circle back now to my third highlight from June, and mention that I had a friend of mine who's been my friend since we were 13. He now lives in Australia, and he visits every few years, bringing one of his kids with him.
That turned 15.
And it's always nice to see him, but we got a little more time this time. And there was one day that we went to the Tech Museum, and one day that we went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and it was great to get out and have some adventures, some local adventures, and share some of the things that we enjoy from around here. So, any final thoughts on that before we move on to our big idea? Because our big idea is pretty important.
Pretty big also.
So, Connor turned 12 in May, at the end of May, and along with that, he was given some new responsibility. He received a flip phone. He knows it wasn't a birthday present, but it was a a starter package for the new responsibilities that he is now starting to take on.
Get me prepared.
Mm-hmm. And so what we talked about was kind of highlighting how there's a bit of digital citizenship that goes along even with a flip phone in the year 2019, and how important it is to have an ongoing family conversation about those responsibilities. So, Connor, do you want to share? Maybe should I share this piece first? So
yeah.
So one of the things that we found is when you go and you get a phone, you can choose a number, and this, I know I'm sharing it. Most everyone knows, but so you choose a number and get the phone, and it could turn out that you have someone's old number, and that there are people, places, things that don't realize that the person they were originally connected with no longer has that number. And Connor got an early lesson in this.
Yep. So, apparently, the person was buying it. This person, they would buy stuff from Amazon and stuff, and Amazon, they gave.
It wasn't Amazon. They put their number in something somewhere.
Yeah, but a fake Amazon account twice came up, and it was like, this offer will get you $100, or this offer, you can get $100 off this, you can get a free prize. And I really didn't know if it was a spam. I honestly didn't know, but
you talked to me about it.
Yeah.
Connor brought it to me, and we looked at it. And when he gets other things like that, because he's still getting a few here and there, he shares it with me, and then deletes and or blocks numbers from his phone.
And I've also been getting, I think just today, I got 3 numbers that called me that I didn't recognize. And I just, for those, I either have my mom take care of it, or I don't answer the phone. Because I don't want to put myself in danger or anyone else in my family in danger.
So the rule in our household that we've established is that Connor has a list of numbers that he has programmed in his phone, and he may only answer calls from and or interact through text message with those numbers. And that rule has been very, very helpful. And I would encourage anyone with a preteen in particular, but preteen or teen that's starting out with a phone, to have a similar rule. And he has a good list of numbers, so that, if we're driving and I need him to text a family member or something, he can do that from his phone. But those are the only numbers he's allowed to interact with.
Another way I can tell if it's my family or not my family is I labeled them down as my mom, my dad, and other family members. And instead of just leaving their numbers as their numbers, I labeled them, so that way, I could tell if it was them or not. Also, I can, because they're in my contacts, I can go to my contacts and see if they messaged me. And if it wasn't one of them, because my dad or my mom is usually messaging me, I know that it's probably most likely a scam.
Yes, and one of the lessons for me in this is that apparently even one of the most basic phones is smarter than I realized, because you have access to more things than we had anticipated. But we are navigating it together, and it's an almost daily conversation with us, isn't it?
You make sure that we're not going on like websites or something.
So what's your advice?
Or like Amazon and not buying stuff.
So what's your advice, Connor, to kids your age who are starting out with a new phone?
Well, first of all, if you receive a text message or phone call from a number you don't recognize, leave it alone, and just, if it's a text message, talk to your parent and delete or block their number. And then, also, label if it's your mom or dad or more family members, because that's how I tell if it's my mom or dad or papa or something. Like, because I have them labeled, and when they call, and I look at my phone, I can see that it's them and not a random number.
And Carrie, you had something that you've been wanting to add. I think you should add it. What's your advice?
Listen to your parents.
Listen to your parents. Don't add numbers without your parents' approval. And each household's going to be a little bit different, but for our household, what works is that there's parental oversight. Connor lets me look at his phone, and again, like I said, we have an ongoing conversation about all of this.
And I'd just like to add one more thing before we close out the podcast, is that if, you get a random text from a number, you don't know who's texting you. You don't know who's behind that other phone line. Mm-hmm. So you're keeping yourself safe and your family safe from what could be something just very, very sad or very horrible. Like, you don't want to put anybody in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Even through phone.
Because what if there's, maybe a kidnapper, and then they find out where you live, they come to your house, and could kidnap you.
So we'll bottom line this with, do not give your information out to anyone.
Yeah.
And that includes email address, that includes phone number, and that includes your address. Mm-hmm. So I think that's our digital citizenship talk for our big idea for this edition of the EdTech Family podcast, the voice of the Eduawesome adventure. Mm-hmm. And we are off on more adventures in July. They've already started. So until next time, and we will record again either right before or right after Connor's Boy Scout. He's whispering to me after, so probably after Boy Scout camp. So, but thank you for listening, and until next time, remember to make each day an Eduawesome adventure.
Bye.
Bye.